Hi, James.
Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Top notch, top notch. I'm glad to be coming at you live from Sydney, Australia.
I know, and you made me math, and now you know my kryptonite. But we got our shit together, and here we are.
Here we are.
Um, James, although I know and love you for many reasons, you did get me my first shitty job out of college. Or pass on the information. Thank you for
Yes,
wasting 5 months of my life
that's
delivering.
all right. Look, it got you somewhere. It got you started, and here you are today. So there you go.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
delivered faxes from the fax machine to
Oh
people.
God. Remember faxes?
Yeah, I was the fax girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you introduced me to the martini, which was much better.
That's it. Yeah, that's a better result. Better result, I think.
Yes, it is. So, we agree that it's the end of the world, which is part of why I asked you to come on. And then when we spoke, we were going to discuss largely the whole pandemic hysteria, all that stuff. And now we've got the added bonus of racism.
Well, no, I know it's crazy. I mean, it's like, riot season has begun and I've still got my COVID decorations up. So, like it's just very confusing these days.
There's a lot going on, and you see it from a reporter point of view. I see it from a psychologist point of view. And so we thought it would be a good way to sort of meld our various fields. But what is going on in Sydney? Like, how are you guys doing COVID wise? And then also, I guess, well, I know you think us Americans are crazy, which is a valid point. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, look, coronavirus-wise, Australia is doing pretty well, pretty good, as they say. With the coronavirus, I think we've got something like a couple of dozen active cases at the moment. It's because we're an island and we've got borders, hard borders. We've pretty much knocked this thing on its head. But it's crazy because people are still, and this is one of the things I want to raise tonight or this morning with you, was the psychology of this is fascinating because it's like there's essentially basically no statistical chance that you're going to get this thing now in Australia. The R rate is down to basically nothing. And yet now there's this like large portions of the population, this whole sort of fear and terror of the thing. And they've been so whipped up by politicians, and I got to admit some of the media as well, not myself, but other people. And now they're just absolutely terrified of going out. And then now the other thing we've got, of course, we don't have a sort of a Floyd George situation here, but really you've got local racial activists and some of the media again who are trying to capitalize on what we've seen in the United States, basically, essentially trying to, gin up a race fight here in Australia, which is pretty ridiculous too.
yeah, we have the opposite, obviously. I mean, I'm in New York. We've got, I don't remember how many. I think last I heard it was like close to 100,000 dead in our state. And, of course, part of, even before Floyd George, part of the issue was that minorities were getting it more and also getting treated less and a higher death rate. And that, I'm sure that has to do with, I think a lot of this has to do with subconscious racism.
Wasn't the big thing there though that Andrew Cuomo stuck everybody at a nursing home and like you had 10,000 deaths out of that?
I don't know if he stuck people in a nursing home, but I do know that there are people in nursing homes, but I don't know that Black people are more likely to end up in a nursing home, or anything like that.
No, I'm just sort of saying that like just sort of the overall numbers. I mean, Cuomo signed that executive order and said, if you're a nursing home and you want to keep your accreditation, you've got to take COVID positive patients who get out of hospital because they were so terrified of the hospitals being overwhelmed that then it just ripped through all of the nursing homes. So it's not, not necessarily a minority thing, but just sort of not protecting the elderly and vulnerable.
Well, no, it is a minority thing because if you think about it, if you live in an apartment building and you're like living on top of each other, there's much more exposure. And
yeah, the density thing.
Right, the density thing. Yeah. And then also I do think that on average minorities either have poor access to healthcare if we're talking about a low socioeconomic status, or they're not taken as seriously by doctors when they go. The same way a woman is sort of, listen, if I take my son to the pediatrician versus my husband, like one of us is taken more seriously and it's not me. I also am a bit
Yeah, but that's
neurotic.
probably because men just never go to the doctor. So if one rocks up, it's like, shit, this has got to be serious.
Right. That's true. That's true. And also, they know me by now. And like,
Yeah.
my first kid, if he coughed wrong, I took him into the hospital, into
Yeah,
the pediatrician. But, but the other thing we've got is, okay, as far as COVID goes, I am terrified. I don't want things reopening. We still have too many cases here. We still have too many people not paying attention. I think opening up the beaches is definitely a political move. I think, like our R is still significant, not smallpox significant, but it's still, it's still enough.
But then, just like on the beaches thing, this is the thing that, because I've been, just reading nothing but about this stuff for like 3 months now, and what everything seems to suggest to me is that if you're in the open air, if you're in the sun, then the virus pretty much has almost no chance of going anywhere. So it's like, if the question is density, so we had a big thing here in Sydney when this first began. And of course, Sydney has some parts that are quite dense because in recent years, all the planners have said, oh, we want people to live in apartments and everything like that because it's high density, because modern, whatever. And then, it was a beautiful day and everything, and people started to go out, and then cops started arresting people and finding them and everything. And then we found out now later on that being outside is probably safer for you than being inside in one of these apartment blocks. I mean,
agreed.
How do you square that?
Well, agreed, but but it depends how dense it is. I mean, we're still. I went to a 9-year-old's birthday party yesterday. It was everyone was wearing a mask. There was a DJ, and they did like all the dance contests and stuff. But the people had spray painted like circles 6 feet apart on their lawn, and it was cute and fun and horrible and sad. And I was glad they served wine because that always takes the edge off. So I think it's a real problem. We also, this school year has been shit for us.
Same.
I mean, my daughter's teacher, she's not even trying. Like, my daughter's in 3rd grade and she got a science assignment a month or so ago that was like, divide these objects into those that make sound and those that don't. And then yesterday's science experiment was put an ice cube in a cup and describe what happens. And I was just like, and she spelled or observed.
Was there gin and tonic in that glass?
Unfortunately, no. But my kids have learned to make cocktails during this time.
Good. Well done. But isn't this a fascinating thing? Sorry, I just want to go to this because this is really fascinating, because this is a universal experience. This is the exact same thing here in Australia. It's a tremendous equity issue here, and I presume there as well, because let's face it, you and me are nice middle-class people with computers and Wi-Fi and all of that stuff, and our kids will be fine because, in fact, they'll probably learn more being with us, to be honest, than they would have in all that classroom time, literally just by hearing our work conversations and talking about stuff and talking about the news. But for kids who don't have those advantages, and we had a huge fight here over opening up the schools, and the teachers' unions didn't want to do it, and it was, as you would say, cray-cray. It's like the fascinating thing to me too is that so many parents have realized just how bullshit what's being taught in the schools is, because they now are being forced to kind of implement these curricula, which are just like, hang on, we multiply how now? What is this all about?
Oh no, we've known that for a while. The thing that's crazy though, but my daughter's in 3rd grade. She's gonna be fine. Her teacher is basically phoning in the shit out of it, which annoys me because she's not married, has no kids. It's not like she's juggling like the rest of us. And she does a 30-minute Zoom meeting with them a day, assigns them homework, and then we scramble as parents to teach it to them.
Yeah.
Whereas my son's, he's a 6th grade, so they've got it together more. It's just a matter of staying on top of them. But honestly, I started teaching classes online because it's fun, and I'm
Yep.
teaching like psych to kids, and so it's
Yeah.
it's like a fun thing to do. But it also teaches me that it's not that tough to teach kids online. Like, I'm sure it's tough if you're unprepared or you don't want to put in the work or you've got multiple classes, but like, third grade should be easy. And we also live in a high SES neighborhood. So,
Yeah.
and we've provided our kids, everyone from third grade on has a Chromebook. So
Yeah, but I mean, and that's what it comes down to. It. I mean, this is a thing that really actually, not to get all social justicey on you. Don't worry, no one's hacked my brain or something like that. But it does really concern me that as we move more to this kind of learning, it will just leave behind a whole lot of kids who really, really need, that sort of attention that they get in the classroom because they're physically in a place that's probably better than their home and has resources they don't have in their home. And that's the thing that like I've been really, really conscious of in some of the fights that we've had here with our teachers unions, who absolutely want to keep the schools closed pretty much for all of 2020 practically if they could have had their way, which is insane because of course they're the ones who are always so absolutely right on lefty about everything.
Well, I honestly don't want to open the schools in September because I think that we're going to go up again because people are idiots. But and I don't have a fear of catching it and dying or whatever. Like I have a fear of catching it and spreading it and all those other, to people that are more susceptible.
Okay, so can I then grab onto that thought because I want to shift this conversation a little bit because like I'll tell you right now, I have been a lockdown skeptic from the start. I have thought that like, if you look at things like epidemiology, Farr's law, things like that, the way that viruses sort of go up and down, you can predict the course of these things. I think that, a lot of countries went too far and smashed stuff up too much. That said, I now find it really, really hard to take a lot of this seriously because the same people, the same officials who last week were saying, stay home, save lives, are now saying, go out, protest injustice. And it's like, well, hang on, we can't have it both ways. And now all the people who were like being total Karens about social distancing are all going out now and having these massive rallies and stuff.
And not wearing masks. And not wearing masks.
So this is this great, insane public health experiment that's going to happen. In 2 weeks' time, we are going to find out what's actually really going on with this thing, I guess.
That's an excellent point. So maybe this insanity is doing us a favor of sorts. But, I have a different issue. I mean, I know we're jumping back and forth, but sure. I have a different issue with these protests, which is I don't like protests. I don't like sit-ins. I'm okay with marches because it's just for like awareness. But if you're going to protest, have a goal. Like, what's the goal?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This has been like, because I feel like here we're in this, I mean, I've been watching this and it's like, I feel like what's happening now has about as much to do really with the killing of somebody who did not deserve to die, and we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But as the Battle of the Somme did with avenging the Archduke Ferdinand. Like, we are now so far divorced from what this was about. I don't see any sort of list of goals. I see this sort of like, oh, I want to raise awareness. And I got to say, like, there's this horrible middle-class, white, emotive thing that I'm seeing now all over. I mean, I got up this morning in Sydney and I'd like looked at my Instagram, because I want to see all the pictures of food and cigars and watches that I normally look at. And I'm like, what's going on here? And it's like, it's like, you're not Catholic, but as a Catholic, I can tell you, it's like everybody doing these sort of made up phony acts of contrition to like,
Oh, we don't have that here. Oh no.
You haven't seen the blackout thing for the Instagram?
Oh, I have, but then I've also been hearing what's wrong with it, but no one is contrite here. People are angry. Everyone is angry. We're on day 81. I have like a tally mark on my wall of
Yeah.
So that's why I looked over there like I'm in prison. We're on day 81 of this shit. And
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So
And
is this the psychology of this? Because I want to ask you this as the brain expert here. Like, how much of this is just the fact that people have completely lost their minds from being locked up with uncertainty, a lot of them with no money, a lot of them with no jobs, and just kind of there's a lot of free floating shit that they've
yeah.
just,
Yeah,
let's all call it turn this.
it's definitely like it's definitely anger and anxiety being fueled in one direction. I mean, so it's anger and anxiety, and I think that the Black Lives Matter movement and also Black people as a whole, and I guess that's racist to say that, but are twofold. It's one, it's they know that their people were hit harder with COVID, and then it's two, the fact that I mean, this killing was obviously atrocious,
Sure.
but the other side of that is now we've taken it to all cops are bad and we hate all cops, and meanwhile, like I have patients and friends whose husbands or boyfriends are police officers and are not assholes, like not
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
is
yeah,
an
yeah, yeah. I
asshole.
mean, and you see these idiots walking around with signs that say "abolish police," like that's going to end well for them,
Ugh.
you know?
Yeah, but these are the same people who you're protesting. What are you protesting? And you know what? And what do you want? And you know what the answer is? Because I finally found it like 5 minutes before we
What's
started.
that?
They want to end racism.
Oh, well, all right, fine,
Right.
easy, done.
Right.
Yeah,
Couple problems there. Racism is a biological survival method where from caveman days and before, so that we know who to trust because the people that look like us are more likely to be our kin and therefore our
it's a tribal
allies.
in-group thing.
It's a what?
Tribal in-group thing.
Exactly. And then also racism is based on your experiences. And I actually have a great piece out on this on Psychology Today right now,
Oh yeah.
where I go through the actual research of it. But, it's based on your experiences. And if you're not exposed to people of different races, you're more likely to be suspicious. And then, again, in
But isn't
high anxiety
this like
situations, you're more likely.
it's just like really what you're getting to though. This is a thing that really disturbs me as somebody who studies not psychology but politics and history. You know, this is just another utopian movement, and it doesn't care who it crushes and who gets in the way. And look at all the heartbreaking stories of Black minority business owners, who have all had their businesses completely smashed. And people say, oh, well, they got insurance. It's okay. It's just stuff. I was like, no, 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 no. Insurance doesn't cover civil unrest.
Yeah.
These people, their life's work is gone. But, oh, hey, we're fighting racism, guys. It's okay. Just like, oh, hey, don't go out, the coronavirus. Hey, it's okay. We're fighting racism. It's okay. Because now social justice trumps social distancing.
Right.
And this is why I find it so hard to take anything that's going on right now seriously at all. And I got in trouble on Facebook today because I was being too sarcastic about it. I was like, how can I react to this in any sort of serious way when you're acting like we all have the brains of goldfish?
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I also believe in science. So I believe in the stay inside and social distancing thing.
Sure. Yeah.
I believe that, racism is inherent, and the way to fix it is through education, exposure, and discussion, not
Right.
smashing shit.
100%.
But our country was already polarized because I don't know if you've heard of this guy who's running our country, but he tends to be a bit polarizing.
Little bit. I've heard
Yeah.
this. This
Yeah.
is the word on the street. This is
Yeah.
some people are saying this. I don't know, but this is something that I'm hearing being said.
Yeah, he's a bit polarizing, doesn't always speak eloquently, has a tendency, he is like me when drunk, like on social media. Like he is like, it's like if I was placed in front of the country, like I don't know if he drinks. He says he doesn't. If he doesn't, I'm even more, confused. But like, that's what happens when Lindsay gets drunk and goes on social media and starts just, talking her head off and arguing with idiots in Facebook groups, or not arguing, just being like, for a while, I would just say okie dokie when someone said something dumb, and then they figured out what I was doing.
Right.
It was like, bless your heart. But like, he has about as much willpower as I do while intoxicated. And It's a
See, but
shame.
there's a missing piece to this puzzle, though. Like, like I think that part of the reason why there's so much anger focused on him right now, because like this killing took place in Minneapolis, like the bluest of blue states,
Yeah.
the bluest of blue cities. This is Ilhan Omar country. This is not,
Right.
this is hardly like, Mississippi burning here,
Right.
but so then suddenly it all gets sort of, there's this transference, to borrow from your world, over to Trump. And I think that part of that comes from the fact that, like, everybody who was so utterly convinced that they had him, that they were going to impeach him, that he was a Russian agent, that he was going to be led out of the White House in an orange jumpsuit and all of that sort of stuff, all of that crumbled because it turned out to be bullshit, and everybody who was testifying in Schiff's committee all said, no, there's no evidence, but then went out onto MSNBC and CNN and said, yeah, we got him, just you watch, and then the whole thing fell apart. So, like,
I heard no one say that we were good, that we got him. Like,
oh my God, this is what everybody's like. It's like all like for 3 years on Twitter, the walls are closing in was like the catchphrase of this whole mob.
So you're gonna go with Twitter? I
Look,
mean, I know no human beings that I spoke to in person that, like, everyone was like, this is great. But I mean, I also know intelligent people. Like, they're this is great, but it's never gonna stick,
Look, Twitter is like the Wuhan wet market of ideas. We both know this.
Yes.
Yes.
Although TikTok might be a little more, but yes.
TikTok is actually owned by the Communist Party of Beijing. So,
is that true?
Literally,
really?
Yes. Yeah. TikTok. If your kids have TikTok on the phones, delete it. Get it out of your house.
My kids don't have TikTok. They don't play
Good.
Minecraft.
Of course, because you're a good parent.
Right. My kids. Yeah. I mean, I was a good parent before COVID and homeschooling, and now they spend 12 hours a day on Roblox, or my son watches people build things so he can learn how. Like, it's.
Well, that's all right.
I'm fine with it. They're smart, good kids. So,
Yeah. But I mean, like, honestly, yeah.
But yeah, I think that actually, I've heard people now being like, trying to talk positively about the things Trump's doing and trying to,
Oh, okay. Well, that's a nice change, I guess.
I guess, but I think it's just because we have someone else to be angry with. Like, we need somewhere to put our shit. And at first it was Trump, and then it was, and now it's the detective in Floyd. I always forget that, whatever that man's name is. I always forget it.
George Floyd.
No, not George Floyd.
Oh,
I don't remember his name. Juarez, Derek, whatever the guy.
So the cop.
Yeah, my brain won't remember, and I think it's better that my brain doesn't, because I don't think he deserves it. But I watched all 11 minutes of that video. I have very strong opinions on that video and that circumstance. Does that mean I think that we should smash shit all over the country? No.
But I mean, where does this all go, though? And you're closer. I'm watching from 10,000 miles away, and the thing that it kind of feels to me like, if it wasn't this, it would be something else. It feels like there's kind of an unraveling of a lot of bullshit that we sort of told ourselves for a long time.
I agree, but if you say that, it sort of sounds like you're minimizing racism, which is a bad.
No. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is that, like, this incident has, is actually quite powerful because it has done the thing, which is to, pull that thread, shine the light on all sorts of things, like in our society that were pretty unsustainable, like in terms of just, the whole sort of social contract of sort of urban liberalism that we've been sort of living under kind of thoughtlessly for a long time.
This is true. And in theory, it could be handled differently, and with conversation and discussion and reform and police training and all this other thing. But instead, I think we're headed towards a Salem witch trial-esque mass hysteria.
Yes. I kind of feel like the last, well, I mean, God knows how long, but I mean, certainly all of 2020 has been, this kind of, I mean, like, I swear to God, in high school, they taught us 1984, and they taught us the Crucible, and they said these are warnings. But now everybody seems to have taken them and said these are instruction manuals.
Yeah, right. This is true. What one of the classes I teach on online is the Salem witch trials and about mass hysteria and groupthink and all the elements of social psych that went into it.
And now it's like, I saw Goody Proctor not keeping her social distance,
It's not only that, but it's also, I'm part of this mom's group, and
I'm very sorry for that.
Oh, so it's a text exchange, and it's like, my daughter's super cool, and so these are the other super cool kids, super cool moms, and then there's me, and I'm definitely.
But you are the mom that brings out the Sunny D's, right? You got the Sunny D's.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm the mom who forgets. I'm the mom who shows up and is like, "Fuck, I forgot the birthday present at home." That's me. I'm the mom who curses. Yeah, I curse. I curse in front of the kids. That's me. That's the mom I am. But the last few nights have been like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night texts. Guys, they're coming our way, and then they all start screaming and yelling and like they said they're invading. This mass they said they're going to the white suburbs now. I was like, do you guys have any idea how many white suburbs there are? like what makes you think? And then of course one of them turns to me yesterday at this birthday party and she goes, but what's really going on is we're doing this to avoid the fact that Hillary Clinton went to trial today. I was like, okay, I don't know what the fuck story that's about because I don't follow it that closely, but it sounds a little crazy, but okay, fine. I'm sure we can, where does this start? Like, okay, so someone killed Floyd George to cause, mass hysteria and protests and riots to distract from the fact that Hillary Clinton went to, it's chaos.
Look, everybody can go down these rabbit holes, but and that's the thing. It's like, I feel like we're going down these rabbit holes because there's so much that has just like stopped working a long time ago, and like put it back in the political thing. Gotta understand why Trump won. Trump won because he was fighting a busted bipartisan consensus, which was about globalism, about bailouts for banks, about endless wars. Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders were really the same guy. Trump won because he picked off a fair number of Bernie supporters,
and because oddly he sounded more intelligent than Bernie Sanders at the time. But
but also because Hillary was the candidate of that failed consensus,
right.
that went back all the way pretty much to the first George Herbert Walker Bush. Like you want to I think that if you want to think about where did a lot of this start? It probably started at the GFC, and it probably started with Obama bailing out banks and nobody going to jail over that, and ordinary people getting the shaft, and that the great Obama, the great healer, the great savior of the nation, is probably guilty of really the mismanagement of a lot of the stuff that would happen later on.
That is so Georgetown School of Foreign Service. My brain can't even function in that manner. You're welcome. You may be right. Yeah, there you go. And Philademic and all that.
Just water, by the way.
It's okay. Mine unfortunately is too, but that's because it's 6 a.m. That's taking it back really far. You may be right. I don't know, but I think that.
Well, think about like psychology. Like if something shitty happens to somebody at the wrong time in their childhood, that will fuck them up for life.
100%.
It's the same idea.
100%. But and now what's going on is we've got these stimulus checks and these small business bailouts. Well, ours has been rejected twice, and we asked for like $10,000, $12,000 to pay our rent of our office, and meanwhile, that's been rejected twice. And then these huge corporations are getting,
Exactly. And this is like where it all comes down to. It comes down to exactly that, kind of thing that people see everybody creaming, the corporations creaming off all of this stuff that's supposed to go to people. And, and now you've got $3 trillion in debt now, or whatever it is, more to pay off, which I don't know where the hell that money's going to come from.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't either. I think I like to go back to that movie, The Day After Tomorrow, where like, you know, we all went to Mexico and in exchange for the U.S. pardoning Mexico's debt or what. You never saw it? It's excellent. Jake
No.
Gyllenhaal,
No.
Dennis Quaid. It's my favorite
No.
disaster movie.
Okay.
But you know, I don't. I think the question is, how do we fix this shit? And as for COVID, I do believe that we should social distance still. You know, not necessarily stay inside, but social distance.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of pretty masks to get me through the summer. But as for the racism
I love it.
issue,
It's so funny. Like I've got like these sort of places that buy clothes from, you know, online
yeah,
and stuff. You know, these British haberdashers are now selling me, you know, oh, would you like these Sorrento masks?
yeah,
Silk, paisley, €90. And I'm like thinking, really? And
yeah.
then I'm thinking, like, oh, Joe, I was kind of against masks now, but if you're going to sell me something that's sort of silk and paisley at €90, that kind of sounds like that'd be kind of cool. You know? But I mean,
Yeah,
they know me too well. You know?
we were all complimenting each other's masks at the birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
Mine is pretty cool. It has like this odd like Hermes looking pattern to it, but it cost me $10. You know, the answer to where to go from here regarding the racial issues, the real ones, not the people that just want to smash shit, and or the, you know, the young white kids that just want to show their support, is the answer is a conversation. A study found that if you have a 10-minute emotional conversation with someone with opposite beliefs of you, you know, like let's like a
Like what
racist,
we're doing right now.
right? You have, well, that means one of us has to be a racist, so not exactly like what,
No, okay, not
no,
like
no.
that, but you know, like
But like if you have a
one of us
conversation
voted for Trump.
and one of us did not.
There you go.
Wait, how did you vote from Australia, or were you here then?
No, I was here.
Oh, oh, oh.
No,
Well, then it's people like you that. Just kidding. My parents are huge. My parents are huge Trump supporters, but like for no very good reason, and even they have come around to the fact that like this might have been a mistake. But you know, but the it's to have a conversation based on emotions, but like sharing your emotional experience, not accusing people of doing something. And a study found that that can change people's um, perception for up to 3 months.
Right. Okay. So now you've got like booking for your 3 monthly heart to heart.
Pretty much. And
Does
or
this like come up in the car and say, you know, like ding, you know, you take your brain in for a, you know, a woke servicing or something?
actually, the way they did it was, you know, when people go door to, it was right after the, and I know we have like a few minutes left, but it was right after the Prop 8 vote got rejected in
Which was
California, LGBTQ something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so they did what's called canvassing. They went door to door and asked, normally when you do that, you ask people, you provide like stats and, you know, facts and like to try to get people to reconsider after for the revote or whatever. But this time they went and they just asked them like, why did you vote no? And, you know, the one guy said, and, you know, pardon the slur, but, oh, I hate fags. And the person who was, you know, the LGBTQ person who was sent to approach said, oh, well, like I'm gay. And then somehow the lack of anger and rejection and whatnot was able to evolve into a sharing of common experiences rather than
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
differences. So in theory, yes, we should brainwash people with kindness every 3 months.
Or maybe they should just, you know, I think the other thing I would do though is God, start teaching critical thinking in the schools, because both of these crises, I think we're going to end on this here,
Yeah.
is that both of the crises that we've got right now are from a total lack of second order thinking,
Yep.
about thinking about second and third order effects. So like all of the bad shit that we're getting out of the coronavirus lockdowns around the world is because nobody stopped to think about anything. And I think that these, you know, what was going to happen beyond this one particularly panic sort of thing, which, you know, the IHME models, which turned out to be bullshit.
Yeah, no one consulted a psychologist. People should have called me.
But then, like, seriously, like, honestly, too, it's like, you know, you've got mass social unrest after locking everybody up in their houses for 3 months. Gee, who the fuck would have seen that coming?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah.
You know, you would have. Thank you. Well, all right. Well, let's make you the secretary of HHS or something like that.
Oh, let's make me. I want to be like the queen of psychology or something. I want a cool title.
Sure, we'll get Congress on it.
Okay, sounds good. James, thank you so much. I know you.
Lindsay, it's been an absolute pleasure. Let's do it again sometime. We'll have a bit more time. But
Okay.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Let's do it again sometime, but we'll do it when it's the crack of dawn your time and I get to have a cocktail.
Well, we both have a cocktail then.
Fine, sounds good.
Okay. All right.
Bye.